Lily hesitated in front of the jewelry store, her small hands clutching the crumpled dollar bills in her pocket. The bright, sparkling displays of diamonds and gold caught her eye, but the prices on the tags made her stomach drop. She was only 8, but she was determined. Her mother deserved something special, something beautiful. The store's doorbell rang as Lily pushed the door open. The air inside was cool and smelled faintly of expensive perfume. She stepped in, trying her best to seem confident, though everything around her made her feel small. The sales associate, a woman with perfectly styled hair and a polished smile, approached her. "Can I help you, sweetie?" she asked, her voice dripping with politeness but laced with a hint of surprise at seeing such a young customer. Lily bit her lip, looking up at the woman with wide eyes. I want to buy a gift for my mom," she said softly, glancing at the display of necklaces and bracelets. "Something special." The sales associate's smile faltered for a moment. She looked at Lily's worn-out sneakers, the faded jacket that barely fit, and then back at the glittering pieces of jewelry that cost hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars. "Well, sweetie, I'm sure we can find something for you." Lily felt a wave of doubt wash over her. She knew she didn't have enough money. She wasn't stupid. She had only a few dollars saved up from doing little chores for her neighbors. But she couldn't tell the saleswoman that. She wanted to make her mother proud, to give her a gift that would make her smile the way she always smiled at Lily's drawings, at her little accomplishments. She wandered deeper into the store, running her fingers over the glass display cases, her eyes landing on a beautiful gold necklace with a small heart-shaped pendant. It wasn't too flashy, but it was perfect. Lily could almost imagine her mother's face lighting up when she opened the box. But as she looked at the price tag, her heart sank. $350. There was no way. Lily turned away, tears threatening to form in her eyes. She didn't want to leave without finding something, but she didn't know what else to do. She wanted to make her mother happy more than anything, but she was just a little girl. "Are you all right?" a voice asked. Lily looked up in surprise. Standing just a few feet away was a man. He wasn't like the other customers. His presence seemed to fill the space, not in an intimidating way, but in a way that made everyone else stop and take notice. He wore a black jacket, his hair was neatly trimmed, and his eyes were sharp, but there was something soft in them too. She didn't recognize him at first, but there was something oddly familiar about his face. "I'm fine," she said quickly, wiping her eyes before he could see her tears. I don't think I have enough money for anything." The man smiled gently. "Sometimes the things that are most precious aren't the ones that cost the most," he said. Lily blinked, a bit confused. "What do you mean?" The man crouched down to her level, his gaze kind and patient. "You're trying to find a gift for someone you love, right?" Lily nodded, her heart beating faster. There was something about his voice that made her feel safe, like she could trust him. "I think that's the most valuable thing you can give," he continued. "Love. No price tag on that." Lily was still unsure about what to say. She didn't want to be rude, but she also wasn't sure if this man was just someone who liked to talk to little girls in stores. But he didn't seem like that at all. There was something different about him, something that made her feel seen. "Who are you?" she asked, her curiosity getting the best of her. The man's smile grew wider. "My name's Elon," he said with a small chuckle. "You might have heard of me. I'm not here to buy jewelry, though." Elon's words struck Lily like a spark, but she still didn't quite understand. Elon? Who was he? Why was he talking to her? But before she could ask more questions, Elon straightened up and looked at her with a thoughtful expression. "You know, if you're serious about getting something for your mom, I can help you out." He took a step closer, his eyes scanning the jewelry around them. "You don't have to worry about the price. Let's see what we can find." Lily felt her heart skip a beat. She opened her mouth, unsure of how to respond. She had never met anyone like this before. Someone who just offered to help without asking for anything in return. And then, as if reading her mind, Elon added, "You know, kindness is the best gift you can give, and I think you've got that in you. Your mom is lucky to have you." Lily's eyes widened. There was something about his words that made her feel like she was capable of more than she thought. But what would her mother think of this? Would she be upset that a stranger was buying her a gift? Would she feel embarrassed? Before Lily could voice her thoughts, Elon placed a hand on her shoulder. Don't worry. I think your mom will appreciate this. It's not the price that matters. It's the thought behind it. Lily nodded slowly, trying to make sense of what was happening. She was still in disbelief, but in that moment, something shifted inside her. Maybe, just maybe, the gift she was about to give her mother wasn't about how much money it cost. It was about the love behind it. And that was priceless. Lily stood in the jewelry store, her fingers tracing the glass display, but her mind was far away. She thought about her mother, Sarah, a woman who had given everything for her daughter. Sarah wasn't rich, not in the way that people talked about it. She didn't have a fancy car or wear designer clothes. But Lily's mom was rich in the only way that mattered, in love, warmth, and kindness. Lily's earliest memories were filled with her mother's laughter. Even when things were hard, when the rent was late, or when they had to move from one apartment to another, Sarah always made sure that Lily felt safe. She was the kind of mother who made every day feel like a gift, even when there wasn't much to give. Lily remembered her mother's hands, rough and calloused from years of working double shifts at the diner, yet always gentle when she tucked Lily into bed. It was those hands that had braided Lily's hair in the mornings before school, those same hands that would hold her close when the world seemed too big for a little girl to handle. There were nights when Lily would hear her mother sobbing quietly after a long shift, and though Lily didn't fully understand, she knew that the tears were not from weakness, but from the weight of everything she carried. Sarah never complained, never asked for help. She worked tirelessly so Lily could have a future, a chance at something better. Lily didn't know what it felt like to have a father. Her mother had told her stories about him, but they were always brief, like pieces of a puzzle that didn't quite fit together. All Lily knew was that Sarah had loved him, but he had left long before Lily was born. Despite that, Sarah never spoke ill of him. Instead, she spoke with quiet strength, teaching Lily that family wasn't just about blood. It was about how much you were willing to give for the people you loved. And her mother gave everything. She had made sure Lily had books to read, clothes to wear, and food on the table. But more than anything, Sarah had given Lily a sense of security that no amount of money could replace. The world outside their little apartment may have been cold and indifferent, but inside, it was warm. Sarah made sure of that. On Lily's birthday last year, Sarah had given her a simple gift, a worn-out teddy bear that had belonged to her when she was little. She had said it was special, that it carried memories of their family's past, even if that past wasn't perfect. But to Lily, it was perfect. It was a reminder that no matter what, her mother loved her with everything she had. That was why Lily was standing in this jewelry store today, with all her heart set on buying something, anything, that would show her mom how much she meant to her. She wanted to give Sarah something worthy of the love she had always shown her. Her fingers brushed against the heart-shaped pendant again, and she could almost picture her mom's face as she unwrapped it. Lily could see her mom smile, the one that always made her feel like everything would be okay, no matter what happened. But the fear crept back in. Even if she managed to get the necklace, what if it wasn't enough? What if it didn't measure up to the sacrifices her mother had made? Just then, she heard Elon's voice again, pulling her out of her thoughts. Have you found something you like? Lily turned, surprised to see him standing next to her again. She hadn't noticed him moving, but now that he was there, his presence seemed to fill the space around them. His eyes were warm, understanding, and it was like he could read her thoughts. I think I found something, she said hesitantly, pointing at the necklace. But I don't know if I can afford it. Elon nodded, his expression softening. You don't have to worry about that. Sometimes, the best gifts aren't the ones we can buy, but the ones we give with our hearts. Lily wasn't sure what to say. She had heard that before. People often said that to make you feel better, like the love was enough. But Lily wanted her gift to be real, tangible, something her mother could wear and treasure. But as Elon looked at her with kind eyes, she began to feel a sense of peace. Maybe he was right. Maybe it wasn't the price of the necklace that mattered, but the intention behind it. She had always been taught that love was the most important thing, and if she could give her mom a little piece of beauty, wouldn't that be a reflection of how much she loved her? Do you really think she'll like it? Lily asked, looking up at Elon. I think she'll love it, Elon replied, a smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. It's the thought that counts. And from what I can see, you've got plenty of that. Lily smiled, feeling a little lighter. For the first time since she walked into the store, she started to believe that maybe she could give her mother something special, something she deserved. But there was still one more thing she needed to ask herself. How could she ever repay her mother for all she had done? This necklace, no matter how perfect, seemed so small in comparison to the love and sacrifices Sarah had made. I don't know how to say thank you enough, Lily whispered, more to herself than to Elon. You don't have to, Elon said softly. Just keep loving her, and that's all you can do. That's the best gift anyone could ever ask for. Lily nodded, her heart swelling with emotion. She hadn't expected a stranger to understand her so well, but something in Elon's words made her feel like everything was going to be okay. She turned back to the necklace, her mind made up. She was going to buy it. For her mom. And no matter what, she would never stop showing her mom how much she loved her. Lily stood there, her hand still hovering over the necklace, uncertainty tugging at her heart. Her eyes flickered from the gold pendant to Elon, whose calm demeanor was a contrast to the storm brewing inside her. She wanted to buy it. She needed to buy it. But something inside her resisted. It felt too easy, too perfect, like everything was falling into place a little too smoothly. Her eyes shifted to the door. The streets outside were busy, the sun shining brightly as people hurried about their day. Lily could see the reflection of the cars and people in the glass of the jewelry store. She felt so far removed from that world, so out of place. Here she was, standing in a store that was meant for people with money, with resources. And then there was her, a little girl with a dream bigger than her bank account. Was it wrong to accept help? She didn't want to feel like a charity case. Her mother had always taught her to stand on her own, to never ask for things she didn't earn. But deep down, Lily knew that this wasn't just about the necklace. It was about the love she wanted to show her mother. And maybe, just maybe, that was worth breaking a few rules. But what if Elon wasn't who he said he was? What if he was just a rich man getting his kicks by helping people in need, making them feel small and grateful? Lily wasn't sure what to think. Her mother had always warned her about people who offered help without asking for anything in return. Do you want to get it? Elon asked gently, snapping Lily out of her internal turmoil. His voice was kind, but it held a certain understanding, like he could sense the struggle inside her. Lily swallowed hard. She wanted to say yes, but her throat felt tight. She didn't want to admit how much she needed help. I don't know if I should. My mom, she's always told me to be independent, to do things on my own. But it feels like too much for me. Elon's eyes softened. It's okay to accept help when it's offered, you know? Sometimes, we all need a little support. Your mom would want you to have something nice for her. It's not about the money, it's about your heart. Lily nodded, but the knot in her stomach didn't loosen. She wanted to believe him, wanted to believe that it was okay to accept kindness. But part of her was scared. Scared of the unknown, scared of trusting someone she had just met. Before she could say anything else, the door to the store opened again, and in walked another customer. A well-dressed woman who had clearly just stepped out of a luxury car. She glanced around the store and, with a dismissive look, made her way toward the most expensive display cases. Lily could feel the contrast between her and the woman, the difference between someone who could shop freely and someone who had to worry about every penny. The woman barely glanced in Lily's direction, her eyes already fixed on the sparkling jewels she could easily afford. Lily's chest tightened. It wasn't just about the necklace anymore. It was about everything. The difference between the life she lived and the life she saw in the store. The richness of the world beyond the glass, where everything seemed so far out of reach. Elon noticed her discomfort and took a small step closer. Don't let anyone make you feel less than you are. You deserve something beautiful too, Lily. And your mother does too. He paused, his voice taking on a more serious tone. Money doesn't define your worth, or your mother's. Lily bit her lip, looking down at the pendant again. For a moment, the whole world outside the store disappeared. All she saw was the necklace, the simple heart-shaped gold charm that represented everything she wanted to give her mother. It wasn't about the price, or the status, or what anyone else thought. It was about love. And if her mother had taught her anything, it was that love couldn't be measured in dollars. She turned back to Elon, her voice soft but clear. Okay, she said, her decision finally made. I'll take it. I'll buy it for my mom. Elon smiled, a genuine warmth in his eyes. That's the spirit. Before she could second-guess herself, Elon signaled to the sales associate, who had been quietly observing from a distance. I'll cover the cost, Elon said, his tone final, as if he had already made up his mind. Lily's eyes widened. No, you don't have to. Elon raised a hand gently to stop her. I want to. Trust me, Lily. You're doing something important today. You're showing your mother that you love her, and that's the most valuable thing you can give her. The sales associate, looking between Elon and Lily, seemed unsure of how to proceed but nodded and retrieved the necklace from the display case. As she placed it in a small velvet box, Lily's heart fluttered with a mix of excitement and apprehension. Once the box was in her hands, she turned to Elon, her voice quiet but sincere. Thank you. I don't know what to say. Elon gave her a reassuring smile. You don't have to say anything. Just give it to your mom with all the love you've got. With the necklace in hand, Lily felt a weight lift from her shoulders. For the first time, she felt like she could really give her mother something worthy of her love. But as she walked toward the door with Elon's words still echoing in her mind, another thought struck her. Was this truly the right thing to do? Was accepting help from a stranger really the lesson she wanted to teach her mom? Could it be that there was more at play here than just the gift? Lily stepped out of the store, the warm sunlight on her face, the small jewelry box in her hand. Her heart was full, yet her mind was racing. She had made a decision, but now she wasn't sure what would come next. As Lily walked out of the jewelry store, the small velvet box in her hand felt heavier than she had imagined. The golden pendant inside seemed to burn with significance, but as she stepped into the bright sunlight, a wave of doubt washed over her. Was this enough? Was a necklace really the right gift to express all the love and gratitude she felt for her mother? She glanced down at the box again, her heart swelling with a mixture of excitement and anxiety. Her mother deserved so much more than a simple piece of jewelry. She deserved the world. Lily took a deep breath and tried to push the nagging thoughts aside. This was a big step, toward showing her mother that she was deeply loved. And maybe that was enough. She couldn't wait to see her mom's face when she opened it, the joy that would spread across her face like it always did when Lily gave her anything, no matter how small. But as she walked down the street toward home, her phone buzzed in her pocket. She pulled it out, her heart skipping a beat when she saw the name on the screen. Mom. Hi, Mom. Lily answered quickly, trying to sound more cheerful than she felt. Lily, honey, where are you? I have something to tell you. Her mother's voice sounded strained, like she was trying to keep herself composed. Lily's stomach tightened. What is it, Mom? Is everything okay? There was a long pause, and for a moment, Lily thought she could hear her mother trying to hold back tears. Her heart raced. What happened, Mom? Sweetheart, there's no easy way to say this, but I've lost my job. They told me today that they can't keep me on anymore. Lily stopped in her tracks, the world around her spinning. Her grip tightened on the jewelry box, but she barely noticed. Mom, no? What do you mean? They can't do that. What happened? I don't know, honey. Her mother's voice cracked. They said business is slow, and they have to cut back. I've worked there for so long, and it's just hard to believe. I don't know what we're going to do. Lily's mind raced, panic setting in. Her mother, who had worked so hard to provide for them, who had always made sure Lily felt loved and safe. Now she was faced with losing everything. Lily wanted to say something, to reassure her mother, but the words didn't come. How could she promise everything would be okay when it felt like everything was falling apart? I'm so sorry, Mom. This isn't fair. What will we do? Lily whispered, her voice shaking. We'll figure something out, sweetheart, her mom said, her voice trying to sound stronger than it was. We always do. But right now, I just need you to know that we're going to be okay. I just need you to believe that. Lily could feel the tears pricking at the corners of her eyes. This wasn't how she had imagined the day going. She had hoped she could bring a little light into her mother's life to show her how much she was loved and appreciated. But now, with this news, the world seemed like an even darker place than before. "I'll be home soon, okay?" Lily said, trying to sound like everything was fine. "I love you. I love you too, baby. I'll see you soon." Lily ended the call, standing there in the middle of the sidewalk, trying to steady herself. Her legs felt weak, and the weight of the jewelry box felt like it might crush her chest. She had bought that necklace for her mother, thinking it would be a way to bring a little joy into their lives. But now it seemed so small, so insignificant in the face of everything that was happening. As she slowly walked toward home, her thoughts were consumed by her mother's words. What would they do without the stability of her job? How would they survive? It was a thought Lily had never had to confront before. Her whole life, her mom had always been the rock, the steady presence that made everything okay. But now, it felt like that rock was crumbling, and Lily wasn't sure how to hold everything together. When she finally reached their apartment building, the familiar sound of kids playing outside and the chatter of neighbors doing laundry was oddly comforting. But inside, the reality of the situation hit her again. Her mom was struggling, and Lily wasn't sure what she could do to make it better. She entered their apartment, the door creaking softly as she pushed it open. Her mother was sitting at the kitchen table, her hands folded in front of her, staring at the bills scattered across the table. When she looked up, there was a tiredness in her eyes that Lily had never seen before. "Hi, Mom," Lily said softly, her voice trembling despite her best efforts to sound calm. Her mom forced a smile. "Hi, sweetie. How was your day?" Lily didn't know how to answer. She wanted to say that everything had been fine, that she had bought the perfect gift for her mom, but now that seemed so trivial compared to the weight of the news her mom had shared with her. I got something for you," Lily said quietly, holding out the velvet box. "I thought maybe it would make you smile." Her mom looked at the box, then back at Lily, her smile turning tender. "You didn't have to, baby, but I'm sure whatever it is, I'll love it." Lily handed it over, her hands shaking. As her mother opened the box and saw the gold pendant, her eyes widened. "Oh, Lily, it's beautiful," she whispered, her voice cracking with emotion. Lily's heart ached. She had wanted to see her mom's face light up, but now it was a bittersweet moment. Her mother was trying so hard to hold herself together, for Lily's sake. "You deserve so much more than this," Lily whispered, her voice barely audible. "No, baby," her mom said, gently closing the box and taking her hands. "This is everything. You are everything." The words were more powerful than anything Lily could have imagined. The gift was more than just a necklace. It was a symbol of their bond, of the love they shared, and of the strength they both carried, even in the hardest times. Just as Lily was about to speak, the doorbell rang. Lily's heart skipped a beat when the doorbell rang. She looked at her mother, whose expression mirrored her own confusion and curiosity. It was late in the afternoon, and no one ever visited unannounced. "Who could that be?" her mom asked, her voice tired but trying to hide the edge of worry in it. Lily didn't know. She quickly glanced down at the jewelry box in her hands, feeling an odd sense of urgency to make sure her mother wasn't distracted from the gift she had given her. But her curiosity was piqued. Who would come to their apartment at this hour? "I'll get it," Lily said, trying to sound confident. She made her way to the door and peered through the peephole. Her breath caught when she saw the figure standing outside. It was a man, dressed in a dark suit, holding a briefcase in one hand. But it wasn't just any man. There was something oddly familiar about him. Elon Musk? Lily's mind raced. She had never met him in person, but there was no mistaking the recognizable figure standing on the other side of the door. Lily opened the door cautiously, unsure if she was imagining things. Can I help you?" she asked, her voice small but filled with disbelief. The man smiled gently, his expression kind. "Hello, Lily. I hope I'm not disturbing you. My name is Elon Musk." Lily froze, her mind whirling. This can't be real. She glanced back at her mother, who had gotten up from the table and was now looking in their direction, her face showing clear confusion. "Mr. Musk?" Lily finally managed to say, her voice barely above a whisper. Elon nodded, his smile never fading. Yes, I've come to talk to you and your mother, if that's okay. Lily stood there for a moment, still unsure whether this was really happening. What could he want? Was he here because of the necklace? She glanced nervously back at her mother, who was now standing just behind her, eyes wide. Her mother stepped forward. Is there a problem, Mr. Musk? No problem at all, Elon said calmly, his eyes meeting her mother's with a steady, almost reassuring gaze. I'm here because I've been thinking about what Lily told me today, and I wanted to offer some help, something a little more than just the gift. Lily's heart skipped again. She had told him about her mother's job loss, but she hadn't expected him to take it so seriously. You've done enough, her mother said quickly, shaking her head. You've already been kind enough by helping with the necklace. Elon paused, as though weighing his words carefully. I understand that it might feel like too much, but when I hear about someone like you, someone who's worked so hard, I want to make sure you have a real opportunity to bounce back. So, I've been in touch with some people who can offer you a job, a good one that might help ease the pressure. Her mother's face fell slightly. Mr. Musk, I appreciate your kindness, but I can't accept that. It's too much. We've always gotten by on our own, and I want to find a way to do that again. Lily stood there, stunned by the turn of events. Her mother, who had always prided herself on being independent, was now faced with an offer that could change everything. But there was so much pride in her, so much strength that it was hard for her to accept help even when it was desperately needed. I understand, Elon said, his voice steady, but you've worked hard for everything you have. You don't have to carry the weight alone. Sometimes, it takes a little push, a little help to keep going forward. And I believe you have the strength to do great things. Her mother looked away, her eyes brimming with unshed tears. I don't know. I've worked my whole life to get to where I am. It's hard to accept that I can't handle this on my own. Lily's heart clenched. She could feel the emotional weight of the moment, the pride that her mother carried like a shield. But she also saw the fear in her eyes, the fear that she was losing control of the life she had built. I've been thinking a lot about you, Mrs. Daniels, Elon continued, his tone gentle. And I've seen the way your daughter talks about you. She admires you more than anything. But it's okay to lean on others when you need to. It doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. Her mother hesitated for a long moment, looking at the ground, as if the weight of the decision was pressing down on her. Then, slowly, she looked up at Elon, and for the first time since the news of her job loss, there was a spark of hope in her eyes. I'll think about it, she said quietly, her voice full of emotion, but I don't want to rely on charity. I understand, Elon said kindly, offering her a small nod. It's not charity. It's an opportunity. And if you change your mind, we're here. The silence in the room was thick, heavy with the weight of the offer and the struggle within her mother's heart. Lily could see her mother wrestling with the idea of accepting help, but she also saw the glimmer of something else, a flicker of hope. Elon turned to leave, his gaze softening as he glanced at Lily. Remember, it's not about the gift. It's about the heart behind it. Lily nodded, her throat tight. Thank you, she whispered, as the door closed softly behind him. As the sound of his footsteps faded down the hall, Lily turned to her mother, her heart pounding with a mix of emotions. Mom, maybe we can accept the help. Just for now. We can always figure things out later, but for now, I think it's okay. Her mother nodded slowly, her eyes filled with both gratitude and uncertainty. Maybe you're right, sweetheart. They both stood there for a moment, the weight of the situation settling around them like a heavy blanket. But in that moment, despite the uncertainty, there was also a sense of possibility. A door opening where once there had been only a wall. The days following Elon Musk's unexpected visit were a blur of emotions and decisions. Lily watched her mother closely, noticing the subtle shift in her demeanor. The walls that had once seemed so unshakable were beginning to soften, and for the first time in weeks, there was a slight spark of hope in her eyes. Her mom had spent the past few days deep in thought, speaking with a few people from Elon's team on the phone. Lily could see the internal struggle in her mother's eyes, torn between accepting the help and her fierce desire to remain independent. But gradually, The fear that had clouded her heart began to lift, replaced by the quiet realization that asking for help didn't mean giving up, it meant growing. Finally, after a week of consideration, her mother sat down at the kitchen table with Lily, a decision in her hands. "I've decided," her mother said, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "I'm going to take the job offer." Lily's heart soared with relief and pride. She had watched her mother work tirelessly, always putting others first, never asking for help. But now, her mom was taking the first step toward something new, something that could give them both the stability they needed. "You're sure?" Lily asked, her voice thick with emotion. "You're okay with this?" Her mother smiled, a small but genuine smile. "I'm sure. I've spent so long trying to do everything on my own. But sometimes, we all need a little help. And it's okay to take it." Lily hugged her mother tightly, feeling the weight of the last few weeks finally start to lift. She had feared that this moment would break them, that her mother's pride would keep them trapped in uncertainty. But instead, they had found a new path forward, together. Later that evening, as they sat in their small apartment, the soft glow of the lamp casting a warm light over the room, Lily handed her mother the jewelry box again. "I want you to have it," Lily said, her voice soft. "I know things have been hard, but I hope this gift reminds you that no matter what happens, you're not alone. I'm always here." Her mother opened the box again, the gold pendant sparkling in the light. She picked it up carefully and held it in her hands for a moment, her fingers brushing the surface as though she were trying to absorb its meaning. "I don't know what to say, baby," her mother whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "I never expected this. You've been my strength, and now you're giving me yours." Lily smiled through her tears. "We'll get through this together. We always do." And in that moment, Lily realized something profound. Though the future was uncertain, and the path ahead was still filled with challenges, the love and support they had for each other would always be their guiding light. They weren't just surviving anymore. They were starting to build something new, something stronger. Days turned into weeks, and life began to settle into a new rhythm. Her mother started her new job, one that offered flexibility and a chance for growth. It wasn't perfect, and the road ahead wasn't without its challenges, but it was a step forward, and that was enough. As for Lily, she found herself walking through the days with a renewed sense of purpose. She had always believed in her mother's strength, but now she saw it in herself, too. Her mother's courage to accept help had given her the courage to believe that no matter how dark the days had seemed, there was always a way forward. One afternoon, as Lily sat in their small living room, working on her homework, her mother entered with a smile on her face, looking brighter than she had in weeks. "I got a promotion," her mother said, barely able to contain her excitement. Lily's jaw dropped. "A promotion? Already?" Her mother nodded. "Yes. It's only the beginning, but I'm proud of myself, and I'm proud of us." Lily's heart swelled with pride. She had always admired her mother's resilience, but now she understood that resilience in a new way. It wasn't about doing everything alone. It was about finding strength in vulnerability, in accepting help when it was needed, and in knowing that love could carry them through even the toughest times. And as Lily looked at her mother, a smile tugging at her lips, she knew that whatever came next, they would face it together. Their journey wasn't over. It was just beginning. Weeks passed, and with each new day, Lily felt the weight of the past slowly lifting. Her mother was thriving in her new job, and their apartment, once filled with tension and uncertainty, now felt like a place of hope and possibility. The air was lighter, as though the heavy burdens they had carried for so long were starting to be replaced with a sense of purpose. But just as they began to find their rhythm, another challenge appeared, one that Lily hadn't expected. It wasn't an external threat or a difficult situation, but rather something far more subtle, yet just as powerful: fear. Her mother had been working tirelessly, pouring herself into her new job with everything she had. But Lily could see the strain in her eyes, the way she sometimes collapsed onto the couch at night, utterly exhausted. The energy she had once had for everything seemed to be slipping away, and Lily knew that there was something deeper at play, something her mother wasn't saying. One evening, as they sat together at the kitchen table, Lily decided to address it. Mom, Lily began, her voice gentle but insistent. You've been working so hard. I can see it. But are you okay? Her mother hesitated, looking down at the empty mug in her hands. I'm fine, sweetheart. Really? But Lily wasn't convinced. I know you, Mom. I know when something's bothering you. You don't have to pretend everything's okay. Her mother looked up at her, a quiet sadness in her eyes. I'm just scared, Lily. Scared that I won't be able to keep up, that I won't be able to prove that I can make this work. After everything we've been through, I don't want to let you down. Lily felt a knot form in her stomach. Her mother had always been her rock, and now, to hear her express such fear, it was unsettling. But Lily also knew that this was just another part of the journey. Just like before, when her mother had feared asking for help, this was a different kind of fear. One born from the pressure to succeed, to rebuild their lives. You won't let me down, Mom, Lily said, her voice firm, her hand reaching out to take her mother's. You've already done more than enough. You're amazing. I believe in you. Her mother's eyes softened as she squeezed Lily's hand. I wish I had your confidence. Lily smiled. You don't have to do it all alone. You've already shown me that it's okay to lean on others when you need to. And I'll always be here, cheering you on. For a moment, there was silence between them, but it wasn't heavy or uncomfortable. It was the kind of silence that came when two people understood each other deeply. The next day, Lily decided to do something for herself. She had been so focused on her mother's struggles that she hadn't taken the time to think about her own dreams and aspirations. It was time for her to take a step forward too. She had always dreamed of studying art, of painting and drawing, but she had never had the chance to pursue it seriously. She knew that with everything her mother had been through, there hadn't been much room for those dreams. But now, with the stability that her mother's job offered, Lily realized that she had the chance to start chasing her own. She pulled out her sketchbook, which had been gathering dust on the shelf for months, and began to draw. The strokes of her pencil felt like freedom, each line a small step towards the future she had always wanted. And in that moment, she knew that her journey, like her mother's, was just beginning. As she worked, Lily thought back to the moment Elon Musk had visited their apartment. The chance encounter had seemed so surreal at the time, but it had set something in motion, a belief that change was possible, even in the most unexpected ways. Her mother had embraced that belief, and now Lily was beginning to embrace it too. The world felt full of possibilities now, both for her and for her mother. There would be more challenges ahead, of course. Life was never without its hurdles, but Lily knew that no matter what came next, they would face it with the strength they had found in each other. Life in the months that followed had a rhythm, a balance of work and personal growth. Lily continued to nurture her passion for art, while her mother grew more confident in her new role. The challenges were still there, but they didn't feel as insurmountable anymore. It felt like they were moving forward, one step at a time, no longer drowning in the weight of uncertainty. But just when things seemed to be settling, something unexpected happened. A phone call that would change everything. Lily had just finished sketching a new piece of artwork in her room when her mother knocked softly on the door. She had that look on her face, the one that told Lily something was about to shift. Lily, her mother began, her voice filled with disbelief. You're not going to believe this, but I just got an invitation to a gala. Lily blinked in confusion. A gala? For what? Her mother sat down on the edge of the bed, still holding the phone in her hand as though it were some kind of treasure. It's a charity event that Elon Musk's organization is hosting. They've invited me because of the work I've been doing with my new job. They want to honor the impact we've made in the community, and I don't even know what to say. Lily's heart raced. This was a huge opportunity. It wasn't just any gala. It was one connected to the very person who had, in a sense, set the wheels of change into motion for their lives. Elon Musk. The invitation was a recognition of everything her mother had worked for. It was validation. Mom, this is amazing, Lily exclaimed, her excitement bubbling over. You deserve this. Her mother smiled faintly, though there was still an air of disbelief around her. I know, but I never thought something like this would happen. It feels like a dream. Then let's make it real, Lily said, jumping up to her feet. You're going to go, right? You have to go. Her mother hesitated. I don't know. What if I don't belong there? What if I make a fool of myself? Lily shook her head, her voice firm. You belong there because you've worked hard to get there. You've earned it. And besides, you won't be going alone. I'll be there with you. Her mother looked at her, a mixture of pride and apprehension in her eyes. You would come with me? Lily nodded eagerly. Of course. I'll be your support, just like you've been mine. With that, the decision was made. They would go together. The next few days were a whirlwind of preparations. Her mother, though reluctant to accept help, allowed Lily to assist with everything, finding the perfect outfit, getting ready for the event, and even helping her practice a short speech she had been asked to give about her work. As the night of the gala approached, Lily's nerves grew. She had never been to an event of this magnitude before. The idea of rubbing shoulders with influential people in the business world, especially Elon Musk, was both exhilarating and intimidating. On the night of the event, Lily stood in front of the full-length mirror in their small apartment, adjusting her dress. She wore something simple but elegant, a deep blue gown that made her feel sophisticated but comfortable. Her mother, already dressed in a beautiful silver dress, turned to her and smiled. You look beautiful, baby, her mother said, smoothing Lily's hair back into place. You look stunning, Mom, Lily replied, her voice filled with admiration. You're going to shine tonight. As they arrived at the gala, the vast venue took Lily's breath away. There were towering chandeliers, a sea of elegantly dressed people, and the hum of conversations blending together into a backdrop of excitement. Her mother's nerves were palpable, but Lily held her hand tight as they walked inside, a silent promise of support. When they were finally introduced to Elon Musk, Lily's heart skipped a beat. The man who had unexpectedly walked into their lives, who had given them hope when they thought all was lost, stood before them in a sharp tuxedo, smiling warmly. Well, if it isn't the woman of the hour, Elon said, extending his hand to Lily's mother. It's an honor to finally meet you in person. Her mother shook his hand, still in awe of the situation. Thank you, Mr. Musk. I never expected to be here. Call me Elon, he replied with a grin. And trust me, you've earned your place here. The evening was filled with more conversations, speeches, and laughter than Lily could have imagined. Her mother gave her short speech with confidence, receiving applause and admiration from the crowd. It was clear that her work, her dedication, was being recognized in ways she had never imagined. But it wasn't just the recognition that Lily saw that night. It was her mother's transformation. The woman who had once been so unsure, so afraid of asking for help, was now standing tall among people who admired her. Her strength, her resilience, and her belief in herself were inspiring others. As the night wound down, Elon approached them once more. You've got something special, he said to her mother. I can tell you're just getting started. Keep pushing boundaries, and the world will be better for it. Lily couldn't help but feel a surge of pride for her mother. They had both come so far, and though the road was still uncertain, they knew one thing for sure. They were no longer defined by the struggles of their past. They were ready for whatever came next. The excitement from the gala lingered in the air for days. Lily and her mother were still basking in the recognition and new possibilities that had opened up to them. The invitation, the conversations, the encouragement from people who saw her mother's potential. It had all been a validation of the journey they had taken together. For the first time in a long while, they both felt like they were on the right path. However, just as quickly as the excitement had come, a new challenge began to arise. This time, one that came not from the outside world, but from within. Lily could see the change in her mother, not just in her confidence, but in her growing uncertainty. Though she had taken the steps to build a new future, something was still holding her back. It started with little things, small gestures that Lily noticed but couldn't quite place. Her mother had started working longer hours, staying late at the office, and sometimes even canceling their plans to go out or spend time together. At first, Lily attributed it to her mother's growing responsibilities, but as the days passed, the distance between them began to feel more personal. One evening, as they sat together in the kitchen, Lily decided to ask the question that had been weighing on her mind. Mom, she said, her voice soft but concerned, is everything okay? You've been working a lot lately, and it's starting to feel like you're not really here anymore. I miss spending time with you." Her mother looked up from her phone, her eyes tired but still kind. "I'm sorry, baby. There's so much to do. I'm trying to make the most of this opportunity. I can't afford to mess it up." Lily watched as her mother put the phone down, rubbing her temples. "You don't have to do it all alone, you know. I'm here for you. We've got this." Her mother's eyes flickered with something that Lily couldn't read, but she quickly brushed it aside, forcing a smile. "I know, sweetie. I'm afraid that if I don't give it my all, I'll lose everything we've worked for. I don't want to disappoint you." Lily's heart ached. She had always admired her mother's strength, but now she could see the cracks that were beginning to show. The same woman who had faced so many challenges without flinching was now consumed by the pressure of living up to expectations. It was a different kind of battle, and this time, Lily couldn't help but feel helpless. "I'm not disappointed in you, Mom," Lily said, her voice trembling. "You've already done more than anyone could ask, but you don't have to carry it all on your own. We're a team." Her mother didn't respond immediately. Instead, she stared down at the table, her fingers tracing the rim of her coffee cup absent-mindedly. After a long pause, she finally spoke, her voice quieter now. "I just don't want to be a failure," she confessed, the vulnerability in her words hitting Lily like a wave. "I've been given this opportunity, and I'm scared of losing it, scared that I'm not good enough to handle it. What if this all falls apart?" Lily took a deep breath, trying to steady her emotions. She had never seen her mother so raw, so unsure. But in that moment, she knew that her mother wasn't just battling the external pressures of her job. She was fighting an internal war, one that had nothing to do with the reality of her skills or abilities, but with her own fears of not being enough. "Mom," Lily said gently, "you are enough. You always have been. And even if things don't go perfectly, you're still amazing. We'll face it together. You don't have to carry that fear alone." Her mother let out a shaky breath, a tear slipping down her cheek. "I don't know if I can do this, Lily." Lily moved closer, wrapping her arms around her mother in a tight hug. "You don't have to do it alone. I believe in you, and I know you'll make it through. You've already shown me that you're stronger than you think." Her mother hugged her back, the weight of her fears slowly lifting in the embrace. It wasn't the perfect solution, but it was a step, a reminder that they didn't have to face their struggles alone. As the days passed, Lily noticed a change. Her mother wasn't as distant as she had been. She began to open up more about the pressures she was feeling at work, and together, they found ways to manage her responsibilities without losing themselves in the process. Lily also took on more responsibility at home, helping her mother with errands and tasks, giving her the space she needed to breathe. It wasn't easy. There were moments of doubt, times when the fear of failure seemed overwhelming. But through it all, Lily remained by her mother's side, reminding her that she wasn't alone, that they had come this far together, and they would continue to move forward, no matter the obstacles. The weeks after their conversation felt like a slow but steady healing process. Lily watched as her mother took small steps toward regaining her confidence, no longer burdened by the constant fear of failure. It wasn't a complete transformation. There were still days when the weight of her responsibilities threatened to pull her back into the depths of doubt, but they were learning to navigate it together. Slowly, but surely, things were changing. One particularly quiet evening, Lily sat on the couch with her sketchbook, drawing the images that had been swimming in her mind for weeks. Her mother had taken the day off from work, and they had spent the afternoon together, shopping for groceries, talking about the past, and laughing over silly stories. It felt normal, and that comfort was something Lily had come to cherish. She hadn't realized how much they had missed simply being together, without the looming pressures of work or external expectations. As Lily sketched, her mother walked into the room, her expression thoughtful. There was something different about her. She seemed lighter, as if a burden had been lifted from her shoulders. She stood in the doorway for a moment, watching Lily, before clearing her throat. "Lily," her mother said softly, "I've been thinking. I've been given so many opportunities, but I've been so focused on fear that I almost missed something important." Lily looked up from her sketchbook, curious. "What do you mean?" Her mother smiled, but it was a smile full of understanding and realization. I've been so worried about whether I'm good enough, about whether I can handle it all. But the truth is, I've already done so much. I've made it this far because I'm strong, and I have you by my side. I'm not alone in this. Lily's heart swelled with pride, but there was also a sense of relief in her mother's words. It was as if, for the first time in a long time, her mother had truly accepted that it was okay not to have all the answers, that it was okay to lean on those who loved her. Her mother sat down beside her on the couch, glancing at the sketches Lily had been working on. I've seen your art, Lily. You have so much potential. You've been pushing your limits in ways I didn't even realize. I think it's time we both start taking risks, embracing what we're capable of. Lily felt a lump rise in her throat. Her mother had always been the rock in her life, but now she was seeing her as someone who was growing and evolving just like her. For the first time in a while, they weren't just mother and daughter. They were two women, walking side by side, discovering new things about themselves and the world around them. I want to support you, Lily said, her voice strong. Whatever you need, I'm here. And I know you'll do amazing things, Mom. You've already come so far. Her mother's smile widened. And I couldn't have done it without you. We're in this together, Lily. Just then, the phone rang, breaking the moment of silence between them. Lily's mother picked it up, her expression changing as she listened. She glanced at Lily with wide eyes before putting the phone on speaker. Mom? The voice on the other end said, I've got some exciting news. Lily could feel her heart race in anticipation. She looked at her mother, who was staring at the phone in shock. It's the board, the voice continued. They've reviewed your proposal, and they want to move forward with your idea. They're offering you the lead role in the new project. If you accept, we think you're the perfect fit. Lily's mother blinked, trying to process the words. Wait, you're serious? Absolutely, the voice confirmed. You've earned this. The project will be big, bigger than anything you've worked on so far. You have the leadership we need. For a moment, neither Lily nor her mother could speak. It was like a dream, an opportunity her mother had been waiting for, and yet she hadn't even realized how ready she was to take it on. Finally, her mother exhaled slowly, a look of disbelief still on her face. I don't know what to say. This is huge. Lily grabbed her mother's hand, squeezing it gently. You say yes, Mom. You've got this. Her mother nodded, the weight of the moment finally sinking in. Yes, I'll do it. After the call ended, they sat there, the silence between them full of unspoken emotions. The news was more than just an opportunity. It was a recognition of everything her mother had worked for, of everything she had feared, and of everything she had overcome. It was a new beginning. For the first time in a long time, Lily saw her mother with a new light, stronger, more confident, and ready to embrace the future with open arms. With her mother's new project officially underway, life began to change in ways Lily hadn't expected. The excitement of the opportunity was infectious, and for the first time, her mother wasn't just making plans for the future, she was living them. Every day brought new challenges, new meetings, and new people, but her mother handled it all with a mix of determination and grace. It was inspiring, but it also came with its own set of challenges. Lily had always admired her mother's work ethic, but now, she could see how the constant pressure of leadership was weighing on her. Long hours, tight deadlines, and the responsibility of leading a major project. It wasn't easy. At first, it seemed like her mother was adjusting well, but soon, Lily began to notice the small signs of fatigue. The late nights, the distant look in her eyes when she came home, the way her mother would sigh after a particularly tough day. It wasn't the fear of failure that weighed on her anymore. It was the sheer exhaustion of carrying so much on her shoulders. One evening, after a particularly long day, her mother came home later than usual. Lily had been working on her art in the living room, trying to focus on her sketches, but the tension in the air was palpable. Her mother walked in quietly, her eyes tired, but she still managed to smile when she saw Lily. How was your day? Lily asked, putting down her sketchbook. Long, her mother replied, her voice softer than usual, but productive. The project is moving forward, which is good. It's just a lot. Lily frowned. noticing the way her mother slumped into the couch, her shoulders heavy with the weight of it all. She didn't want to add to her mother's burden, but she couldn't help feeling concerned. "Mom," Lily began, cautiously, "are you okay? You've been working so hard lately, and I can see how much it's taking out of you." Her mother glanced at her, her face softening. "I'm fine, sweetheart. I'm just a little tired, that's all. This project is a big deal, and I want to make sure I do it right. I don't want to disappoint anyone." Lily's heart ached for her. She understood her mother's drive. After all, it was the same drive that had pushed her through so many challenges in the past. But now, she saw that it was also what was draining her. The weight of perfection, of always being the one to do everything right, was starting to take its toll. "You don't have to do everything by yourself, Mom," Lily said gently. "You've taught me that it's okay to ask for help, and you've already done so much. You don't have to carry all of this on your own." Her mother smiled weakly. "I know. I guess I don't want to let anyone down. I've come so far, and I'm scared that if I don't push through, it'll all fall apart." Lily moved closer to her mother, her hand resting gently on her arm. "But you don't have to do it all at once. It's okay to take a break. You don't have to be perfect, you know? You're already amazing, just the way you are." Her mother looked at her daughter, her eyes softening as the weight of the conversation began to sink in. She was a woman who had spent so much of her life striving for perfection, but now, for the first time, she saw that she didn't have to do it all alone. She had Lily, and that was enough. "I don't know how I got so caught up in all of this," her mother admitted, her voice quiet. "It's just hard to step back when you're so used to pushing forward." Lily smiled and hugged her mother tightly. "You've taught me so much, Mom. I know you can handle anything, but even superheroes need a break sometimes. You've earned it." Her mother chuckled softly, the sound of it feeling like a balm to both their hearts. "I'll try to remember that. Maybe it's time to slow down a little and take care of myself, for once." That night, after their conversation, Lily's mother took the first real break she had in weeks. They spent the evening together, not talking about work or projects, but just enjoying each other's company. They watched an old movie on TV, ate popcorn, and laughed about silly things. It was a simple moment, but it was one that made both of them feel grounded again. As Lily watched her mother relax, she felt a deep sense of pride. Her mother was strong, stronger than anyone she knew. But she also knew that true strength came from knowing when to lean on others and when to take a step back. And in that moment, she saw her mother doing just that. It wasn't about perfection. It was about balance, and they were learning how to find it together. As the weeks passed, Lily noticed something remarkable. Her mother had started to find a new rhythm in her life, one that wasn't just defined by the pressures of work, but by the joy of living in the moment. They took more walks together, spent evenings cooking dinner as a team, and even started planning weekend getaways to escape the grind of daily life. There was still work to be done, still challenges to face, but they no longer felt insurmountable. For the first time in a long time, Lily saw her mother smiling more, her eyes sparkling with excitement about the future, rather than worry. Lily's own art had flourished, too. The sketches she had been working on had turned into full-fledged paintings, and her mother, ever her biggest cheerleader, encouraged her to start thinking about showcasing her work. With her mother's support, Lily applied to a local art gallery for a chance to display her pieces. She was nervous, unsure of whether anyone would even be interested in what she had created, but her mother's belief in her gave her the courage to take the leap. One evening, as they sat together in the living room, Lily looked up from her easel, her brush poised in midair. Her mother was sitting across from her, watching a documentary about famous artists. The room was cozy, the dim light from the lamp casting a warm glow over everything. "Mom," Lily said, hesitating, I sent my art to a gallery today. I applied to have a show." Her mother looked up, surprise and pride evident in her eyes. "You did? Oh, Lily, that's incredible. How do you feel about it?" Lily smiled nervously. "I don't know. I'm kind of scared, actually. What if they don't like it?" Her mother set the remote down and walked over to her, sitting next to her at the easel. "Sweetheart, what matters is that you're taking a chance. You're putting yourself out there. That's the real achievement." Lily looked down at her hands, unsure of herself. I guess. But what if they think it's not good enough? Her mother gently lifted Lily's chin, making her meet her eyes. Listen to me, Lily. The only thing that matters is that you're proud of what you create. It doesn't have to be perfect. No one's art is perfect. But when you create something from your heart, it has its own kind of perfection. You've already done the hardest part, being brave enough to make it. Now, you have to let the world see it. And no matter what happens, I'm proud of you. Tears welled up in Lily's eyes as she looked at her mother, the woman who had given so much of herself to ensure that Lily could live her dreams. It wasn't just the gallery she was nervous about. It was the fear that somehow she wouldn't live up to her mother's unwavering faith in her. Her mother pulled her into a hug, and Lily felt the warmth of her embrace, the comfort of knowing that no matter what happened, she wasn't alone. She had someone who believed in her even when she didn't believe in herself. I'm going to be here, cheering you on every step of the way, her mother said softly. No matter what happens with this gallery, you're already a success in my eyes. The words settled in Lily's heart like a seed, and she felt something shift within her. For the first time, she realized that success wasn't just about getting recognition from others. It was about being true to herself and her craft. It was about creating something meaningful, even if no one else saw it. But knowing that her mother believed in her made all the difference in the world. A few days later, the gallery emailed Lily back, asking to meet with her in person to discuss her work. Her heart raced as she read the email, but this time, instead of fear, there was a quiet sense of excitement. The gallery was interested in her work, and for the first time, Lily could see the path to a future she had once only dreamed of. That evening, after the email came through, Lily sat down with her mother. She showed her the message, and her mother's eyes lit up with joy. Mom, they want to meet with me, Lily said, her voice filled with disbelief. They want to see my art. Her mother hugged her tightly. I knew it, Lily. I knew this was just the beginning. I'm so proud of you. Lily's heart swelled with gratitude. She had come so far, and yet, she knew this was just the beginning. There would be many more challenges ahead, but she wasn't afraid anymore. She had her mother by her side, and together, they would face whatever came their way. Lily's art show was just around the corner, and the closer it got, the more nervous she felt. The gallery had given her a date for the opening, and the email confirmed that her work would be featured alongside several other local artists. It was a huge opportunity, one that she had dreamed about for so long. But now that it was becoming a reality, the pressure was building. She had never shown her art to so many people at once, and the thought of having her work on display for the world to see was both thrilling and terrifying. Her mother, of course, was as supportive as ever. She had been there every step of the way, helping Lily choose the right pieces, giving her feedback on her sketches, and even helping her organize the logistics of the show. But even with all of her mother's encouragement, Lily couldn't shake the feeling that she wasn't ready. What if people didn't like her art? What if they didn't understand it? One evening, a few days before the show, Lily sat in front of her canvas, staring at a piece she had been working on for weeks. The strokes of the paint were bold, full of emotion and color. It was a piece she felt deeply connected to, but it still felt unfinished, like there was something missing. She set down her brush and leaned back in her chair, frustration mounting. She had spent so much time on this, and yet it still didn't feel right. Maybe I should just scrap it, she muttered to herself. Her mother, who had been working in the other room, came in when she heard her daughter's voice. What's going on? She asked gently, walking over to Lily's side. Lily looked at the painting and shook her head. I don't know, Mom. It's just not perfect. I keep trying to make it work, but it doesn't feel finished. Her mother sat next to her, looking at the painting with a thoughtful expression. Lily, I can see what you're doing. You're putting your heart into this. And that's what art is about. It's not about making everything perfect. It's about sharing a part of yourself with others. I don't know if anyone will understand it, Lily admitted, her voice soft with doubt. I'm afraid they won't see what I see. What if they don't like it? Her mother smiled softly, putting a hand on Lily's shoulder. Sweetheart, you can't control how other people will react. You can't make them see what you see. But what you can do is create something that's true to you. When you put your heart into your art, people will feel it. And that's what matters. You're not creating this for validation, you're creating it because it's a part of who you are. Lily looked at her mother, her heart swelling with gratitude. It was exactly what she needed to hear. She had been so focused on making everything perfect that she had lost sight of why she was painting in the first place. It wasn't about impressing anyone. It was about expressing herself. Her mother had been right all along. "I'll finish it," Lily said, a new sense of resolve in her voice. "I'll finish it, and whatever happens, happens." Her mother smiled proudly. "That's my girl. I know you're going to do great. Just remember, the only approval you need is your own." The day of the show arrived, and Lily was filled with a mixture of excitement and anxiety. She and her mother arrived at the gallery early to help set up, making sure everything was arranged perfectly. The other artists were already there, putting up their work and chatting with the guests. Lily's heart raced as she looked at the walls filled with so many different styles and techniques. What if her work didn't measure up? But when it was time for the doors to open, Lily pushed aside her nerves and took a deep breath. She had done the work, she had put in the effort, and now it was time to let go and see what happened. As the guests began to arrive, Lily stood with her mother by her side, quietly observing the reactions of the crowd. People gathered around her paintings, discussing the colors, the emotion, the technique. Some smiled and nodded, others seemed lost in thought, as if they were trying to understand the story behind each piece. It was strange to see her work through the eyes of others, but it was also incredibly rewarding. And then, a woman approached Lily, her eyes bright with interest. "I really love this one," she said, pointing to the painting that had caused so much doubt in Lily's mind. "It's so raw and honest. You can really feel the emotion in it." Lily's heart skipped a beat. It was exactly what she had hoped for, what she had worked so hard for. Someone seeing her art for what it was, understanding it on a deeper level. Her nerves began to fade as the evening went on, and with each compliment, each thoughtful comment, she realized that maybe, just maybe, she was exactly where she was meant to be. As the night of the gallery show unfolded, Lily's doubts slowly melted away. The compliments and the kind words from the guests were overwhelming, and with each passing moment, she felt a little more like the artist she had always hoped to become. She couldn't help but smile when she saw people standing in front of her paintings, discussing them, interpreting them, and connecting with them in ways that were both unexpected and beautiful. But the true turning point came later in the evening, when Lily found herself alone in front of one of her larger pieces. It was a painting she had worked on for months, a piece that captured her deepest fears and hopes, an abstract representation of a girl standing at the edge of a storm, unsure of which direction to take. It was bold, intense, and vulnerable all at once. As she stood there, a woman in her late 40s approached her. She wore a simple black dress and glasses, her expression thoughtful as she studied the painting. After a few moments of silence, the woman turned to Lily, her eyes brimming with emotion. "I'm sorry, I don't mean to be too forward," the woman said, her voice soft. "But this piece, it speaks to me. It's like you captured everything I've been feeling these past few months. I lost my job recently, and I've been struggling with what comes next, just like the girl in your painting. The uncertainty, the fear, but also the hope that there's something better out there if I'm brave enough to face it." Lily was speechless. She hadn't expected someone to connect with her art in such a personal way. The woman's words echoed in Lily's heart, and for a moment, she understood something deeper about herself. This was why she painted, not for praise or accolades, but for the connection that could form between her and another person, a bond made from shared experiences and emotions. The woman smiled, her eyes shining with gratitude. "Thank you for creating this. It's exactly what I needed to see tonight." Lily's heart swelled with warmth. "Thank you for saying that. I'm glad it resonated with you." As the woman walked away, Lily stood there, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment that she had never felt before. Her art had done what she had always hoped it would. It had touched someone, and in that moment, she realized that this was only the beginning. The rest of the evening was a blur of conversations, introductions, and praise. But as the night came to a close and the gallery began to empty, Lily found herself sitting with her mother on a bench outside the gallery, the night air cool and calming. "I can't believe it's over," Lily said, her voice soft but full of awe. "I never thought I'd make it this far." Her mother smiled, her pride shining through. "You've always had it in you, Lily. It was just a matter of believing in yourself. You've come so far." Lily took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the night settle in her chest. She had done it. She had faced her fears, taken the leap, and shown the world a part of herself she had been too afraid to share for so long. And now, she could see that it was worth it. "I'm not done yet, Mom," Lily said, her voice steady with newfound determination. "This is just the beginning. There's so much more I want to do." Her mother chuckled, resting a hand on Lily's shoulder. "I know, sweetheart. And I'll be right here with you, cheering you on every step of the way." Lily smiled, feeling a sense of peace she hadn't experienced in a long time. No matter where her art took her, she knew that her mother would always be by her side, supporting her, guiding her, and reminding her that she was capable of anything. Lily's art show had been a turning point in her life. As she walked through the bustling streets of the city, her heart was light, and the world seemed to open up before her. Her paintings had found their place, and people were talking about them, really talking about them. She had gained more confidence in herself and her work, and for the first time, she felt like she was truly on the path she was meant to be on. But just when everything seemed to be falling into place, life threw her an unexpected curveball. It was a Saturday afternoon, a week after the art show. Lily was at home, putting the final touches on a new piece. Her mother was out running errands, and the house was quiet except for the soft hum of her paintbrush on the canvas. The phone rang, interrupting the calm of the moment. "Hello?" Lily answered, setting her brush down. "Lily, it's Alicia," said the voice on the other end, one of the curators from the gallery. "I hope I'm not catching you at a bad time, but we have some exciting news. We'd like to offer you an opportunity to do a solo exhibition in the next few months." Lily's heart skipped a beat. A solo exhibition? She had never even dreamed of something like that. It was a big leap, and she wasn't sure she was ready for such a responsibility, but the excitement bubbling inside her couldn't be ignored. "Are you serious?" Lily asked, her voice barely a whisper. "This is really happening?" Alicia laughed softly. "Yes, it's happening. We've been getting so much positive feedback from your show, and we think you're ready for this. But we need you to confirm if you're interested. This is a big commitment, and we want to make sure you're fully on board." Lily sat back in her chair, trying to process what she was hearing. A solo exhibition was a huge deal, but it also terrified her. Could she really pull it off? Could she fill an entire gallery with her work? The pressure seemed overwhelming. "I'll need some time to think about it," she said, her voice shaky with both excitement and nerves. "Can I get back to you in a few days?" "Of course, take your time. We want you to feel confident in this decision. Just let us know when you're ready." After the call ended, Lily sat in silence for a few moments, her mind racing. She had always imagined getting to this point, but now that it was real, the fear of failure crept in. What if she didn't have enough work to fill a gallery? What if no one came? What if she wasn't good enough? Her phone buzzed with a message from her mother, letting her know she was on her way home. Lily stared at the screen, the words of the gallery's offer still echoing in her mind. As soon as her mother walked in, Lily couldn't contain herself any longer. "Mom, you're never going to believe this." Her mother raised an eyebrow, a smile playing on her lips. "What is it, Lily? You look like you just won the lottery." "I might have just won the Art World lottery," Lily said with a mix of excitement and nerves. "The gallery wants to give me a solo exhibition, a whole show just for me." Her mother's eyes widened with pride. "Oh, Lily, that's incredible. I knew it. I knew this was coming." Lily smiled, but her excitement was tinged with uncertainty. "But I'm not sure, Mom. What if I don't have enough work? What if no one comes? What if it's all a big mistake?" Her mother sat beside her, taking her hands in hers. "Lily, this is your moment. You've worked so hard to get here, and you're more than capable. I've seen the way your art moves people, and I know that it will touch even more people with this exhibition. You don't have to have all the answers right now. All you need to do is trust yourself and take that first step." Lily took a deep breath, looking at her mother. She knew her mom was right. She had always been right. This was her chance to show the world what she was capable of, and she couldn't let fear hold her back. She had come this far. She couldn't stop now. "I'm going to do it, Mom," Lily said, determination filling her voice. "I'm going to take the leap." A few days later, after talking it over with her mother and taking time to process everything, Lily confirmed with the gallery that she was ready to accept their offer. She would have her solo exhibition, and she would do everything in her power to make it unforgettable. It wasn't going to be easy, but she knew she was ready for the challenge. The preparation for the exhibition was intense. Lily spent days painting, selecting pieces, and organizing everything for the big day. She worked late into the night, fueled by a mix of excitement and nerves. She had so many ideas, and she wanted every piece to represent her growth as an artist. She wanted it to tell a story of struggle, hope, and transformation. But just as the pressure seemed to reach its peak, something unexpected happened. A well-known art critic, who had seen Lily's work at the gallery show, reached out to her, offering to write a review of her upcoming exhibition. It was a dream come true for Lily. This was the kind of recognition that could catapult her career to the next level. The weeks leading up to Lily's solo exhibition were a whirlwind of activity. She worked tirelessly, finalizing pieces, preparing the space, and carefully considering every detail. Her mother, ever supportive, helped her with everything from organizing supplies to keeping her spirits high when the pressure became too much. Lily felt ready, though the anticipation was still heavy on her shoulders. Then, the unexpected happened, a phone call that made her heart race. It was a Tuesday morning when the call came through. Lily had just finished her breakfast, sitting at the kitchen table, staring at the unfinished canvas in front of her. She picked up the phone without thinking, her hand shaking slightly. "Hello?" she said, her voice soft. "Is this Lily Collins?" a deep voice asked. "Yes, speaking," she replied, her curiosity piqued. "This is Jonathan Hayes, the art critic from the New York Review of Arts. I had the chance to see your work at your gallery show, and I wanted to speak with you about your upcoming solo exhibition." Lily's breath caught in her throat. The New York Review of Arts? She had read the publication countless times and had dreamt of getting a review from them for years. "Oh, my gosh, of course. I'm honored to be speaking with you," she stammered, trying to contain her excitement. "I'll cut to the chase," Jonathan said. "I've been following your work, and I was thoroughly impressed by the emotional depth and raw authenticity you bring to your paintings. I'm planning to attend your solo exhibition, and I would like to write a review of it. I believe you have the potential to make a significant impact in the art world." Lily sat back, her heart pounding in her chest. Was this real? Was she really hearing this? "Are you serious?" she managed to ask, her voice barely above a whisper. "Yes," Jonathan confirmed. "I truly believe you have something special. The exhibition is important, and I'd love to write a review that highlights your talent." Lily couldn't contain the wave of emotion that washed over her. This was everything she had worked for, everything she had dreamed about. This was her big break, and it was happening. She took a deep breath, trying to steady herself. I would be honored," she finally said, her voice shaking with a mixture of excitement and gratitude. After exchanging a few more details, Jonathan hung up, leaving Lily standing there in a daze. It was hard to believe. She had come so far, but now, with the promise of a review from such a prestigious critic, the reality of her success felt even closer. The night of the exhibition arrived. The gallery was buzzing with energy, a mix of familiar faces from the opening show and new attendees eager to see Lily's solo work. The walls were lined with her paintings, each one a reflection of her growth as an artist. From the abstract pieces that expressed her deepest fears to the vibrant portraits that spoke of hope, every piece was a testament to her journey. Lily stood near the entrance, nervously adjusting her dress and checking the time. Her mother stood by her side, offering her quiet support as always. "You look amazing, Lily," her mother said, giving her a reassuring smile. "I'm so proud of you." "Thanks, Mom," Lily replied, though she couldn't hide the nerves that fluttered in her stomach. "I just want everything to go well tonight. I don't know what to expect." "You've already done the hard part," her mother said. "This is just the celebration of your hard work and talent." Just enjoy it. The doors opened, and guests began to pour into the gallery. Among them was Jonathan Hayes, the critic from the New York Review of Arts. He had arrived with a small entourage, and his presence immediately commanded attention. Lily's heart skipped a beat when she saw him, but she did her best to stay calm. He made his way through the gallery, his gaze lingering on each painting. Lily watched from a distance, her palms sweating. She had never felt so exposed. Her work, her soul, on display for everyone to see. As Jonathan approached her, he gave her a nod of acknowledgement, his expression thoughtful. "This is an impressive collection, Lily," he said, his voice warm but analytical. "You've created something truly unique here. I can already tell your work is going to resonate with a wide audience." Lily smiled, though she could feel the weight of his words pressing on her. She wanted to ask him what he really thought, to ask if her paintings had the impact she hoped they would, but she stayed quiet, letting the moment unfold. "I'm writing a review for the New York Review of Arts, and I'm looking forward to sharing my thoughts with our readers," Jonathan continued. "Your work is extraordinary, Lily. You have a rare gift." Lily's heart swelled with pride, and for a moment, the fear she had felt earlier seemed to dissipate. This was it, the moment she had been waiting for. She had come a long way from the girl who doubted her abilities, and now she was standing in front of a respected critic, knowing that her work had made an impact. The evening passed in a blur of introductions, conversations, and compliments. Lily found herself surrounded by people who admired her work, who wanted to hear her story and learn more about her process. It felt surreal, but in the best possible way. By the end of the night, Lily was exhausted but filled with a sense of fulfillment she had never known before. She had done it. She had put herself out there, shared her soul through her art, and received recognition in ways she had only dreamed about. As she sat down with her mother at the end of the evening, her heart still racing, she couldn't help but feel a sense of gratitude for how far she had come. "I did it, Mom," Lily said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I really did it." Her mother smiled, her eyes brimming with pride. "You sure did. I always knew you would." Lily's solo exhibition had been a resounding success. The review by Jonathan Hayes from the New York Review of Arts had been everything she had hoped for, and more. The glowing praise from such a respected critic had made her feel as though the world was opening up to her. Her paintings were now not just pieces on a canvas. They were part of a larger conversation about art, identity, and emotion. The future seemed limitless. But as the days passed, the initial excitement began to give way to an unexpected pressure. The attention had been overwhelming. Calls, emails, and messages flooded her inbox. Galleries wanted to display her work, collectors were interested in buying her pieces, and fellow artists reached out to congratulate her. Everyone wanted a piece of her time and energy. At first, it felt like a dream. But soon, Lily began to realize how much was at stake. The world was watching her now, and the pressure to keep up the momentum, to prove that her success wasn't a fluke, was weighing heavily on her shoulders. She was still reeling from the whirlwind of the exhibition when the next big opportunity arrived. A prestigious art show in Los Angeles had invited her to participate. The show was known for launching the careers of many well-known artists, and it was a chance for Lily to solidify her place in the art world. The only problem? She had only a few weeks to prepare. Lily sat in her studio, staring at the blank canvas in front of her. She had no idea where to begin. She had spent the last few weeks trying to catch her breath after the exhibition, but now, with the Los Angeles show just around the corner, she felt like she was drowning in expectations. Her phone buzzed again, this time with a message from Alicia, the curator who had been so instrumental in getting her exhibition off the ground. "I'm so excited for the LA show, Lily. But don't forget that you need to select your pieces for the display. We need to have everything finalized by the end of the week. I know you're busy, but please remember this is a huge opportunity." Lily sighed, rubbing her forehead. She had no idea how she was supposed to choose her best works. Each piece felt like a part of her, and picking which ones to share with the world seemed like an impossible task. She glanced at the corner of the room where her latest painting stood, an abstract piece she had been working on for the last few days. It wasn't finished yet, but it felt raw, unpolished, and very different from her previous work. It captured a vulnerability that she hadn't yet fully expressed. Maybe this is the piece, she thought, stepping toward it. Maybe this is the one that represents who I am now, who I've become since the exhibition. But the doubt quickly crept in. What if it wasn't good enough? What if it didn't fit in with the other pieces she had shown? What if it was too personal, too vulnerable? She couldn't afford to make a mistake. The pressure to succeed was suffocating. That night, Lily couldn't sleep. The weight of the upcoming show loomed over her like a storm cloud. She tossed and turned in bed, her mind racing with thoughts of what she should do next. Her mother had offered advice earlier, but the uncertainty in Lily's heart made it hard to accept. "Mom, I don't know if I can do this," Lily had said over dinner. "This next show, it feels like everything is on the line. If I fail, it'll all be over." Her mother had looked at her with understanding. "You're not going to fail, Lily. You've come so far. But I know it's hard to see that when you're in the thick of it. Just remember why you started painting in the first place. It was never about the fame or the money. It was about expressing yourself, sharing your truth with the world." Lily had nodded, but deep down, she wasn't sure if her mother's words could ease the fear inside her. The stakes were higher now. The world was watching her, and the thought of letting everyone down was paralyzing. The next day, Lily returned to the studio, determined to tackle her fears head-on. She stood before the blank canvas again, the familiar feeling of self-doubt rising. But this time, she decided to push through it. She picked up her paintbrush, dipped it into the vibrant red paint, and started with bold strokes. Each line felt like a small rebellion against the pressure she had been feeling. With every brushstroke, she felt a sense of release, a reminder that she didn't need to prove anything to anyone. She wasn't creating for the critics or the galleries. She was creating for herself. As the hours passed, the piece began to take shape. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. It was raw. It was her. And that's all that mattered. When her mother walked into the studio later that evening, she saw the transformation in Lily's expression. The tension in her face had softened, and for the first time in days, Lily seemed at peace. "You look different," her mother said, a smile tugging at the corner of her lips. "How's the piece coming along?" Lily stepped back from the canvas and looked at it. The abstract swirls of red, blue, and black seemed to tell a story of struggle, hope, and resilience. It was chaotic, but there was beauty in the chaos. "I think this is it, Mom," Lily said, her voice filled with a quiet certainty. "This is the piece I'm going to show." Her mother nodded, pride shining in her eyes. "It's perfect. It's exactly what you need to show the world. It's you." Lily smiled, feeling a sense of relief wash over her. She didn't have to be anyone else. She didn't have to meet anyone else's expectations. All she had to do was stay true to herself, and that was enough. The Los Angeles show came and went. Lily's piece was met with rave reviews, and the feedback was overwhelmingly positive. People were captivated by the vulnerability and raw emotion she had poured into the painting, and it quickly became one of the most talked-about works of the show. But more than anything, Lily felt proud of the journey she had taken. She had faced the pressure head-on and, in the process, discovered something far more important than fame or recognition: the power of staying true to herself. After the Los Angeles art show, Lily's career skyrocketed. The art world had taken notice, and her pieces were now displayed in some of the most prestigious galleries in the country. Her paintings were fetching prices she had once only dreamed of, and collectors were eager to get their hands on her work. She was living her dream, but it wasn't as perfect as she had imagined. For the first time in her life, Lily felt overwhelmed by her success. There were more shows, more interviews, and more demands on her time than she had ever anticipated. People from all over the world reached out to her, offering deals, opportunities, and connections. But as her professional life flourished, her personal life began to wither. She found herself spending long hours in her studio, trying to meet deadlines and create new work, while her relationships with family and friends began to suffer. Her mother noticed the change first. One evening, as Lily worked late into the night, her mother knocked gently on her studio door. "You've been at this for hours, sweetheart," her mother said softly, peeking into the room. "Why don't you take a break? You need to rest." Lily didn't look up from her canvas. "I'm fine, Mom." I just need to finish this. I have deadlines to meet, and I'm behind schedule. Her mother stepped into the room and sat down on the stool next to her. I understand. But you can't pour from an empty cup, Lily. You've been running on empty for weeks now. It's not just about the work. It's about you. You need to take care of yourself, too. Lily paused, her brush hovering above the canvas. She knew her mother was right, but the pressure to keep up with the demand for her art was suffocating. It felt like if she stopped now, it would all fall apart. She had worked so hard to get here, and she couldn't afford to lose it all. I just don't know how to balance it all, Mom, Lily admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. I'm afraid that if I slow down, everything will slip away. What if I'm not good enough anymore? What if people forget about me? Her mother reached over, gently taking her hand. Lily, you are more than your work. You've already accomplished so much, and you're still growing. But your happiness matters too. You're not just an artist, you're my daughter, and I want you to remember that. Lily nodded, trying to hold back the tears that threatened to spill. It was hard to hear, but she knew her mother was speaking the truth. She had gotten so caught up in the whirlwind of her success that she had forgotten to take care of herself. The following week, Lily made a decision. She canceled several upcoming events and took a short break from her studio. It wasn't easy, but she needed it. She needed time to reconnect with herself, to remember why she started painting in the first place. During her time off, Lily spent more time with her mother, going on walks, cooking together, and simply talking. She reconnected with old friends, allowing herself to enjoy the simple pleasures of life that had been overshadowed by her career. She even took up a hobby she had long abandoned, gardening, and found a sense of peace in the quiet rhythm of planting flowers and tending to her garden. And in the quiet moments, she also returned to her art, but with a different perspective. She no longer felt like she had to prove anything. Her work became a reflection of her true self, not just a means to gain recognition. She painted for the joy of creating, for the release it brought her, and for the healing it provided. One afternoon, as Lily worked in the garden, her phone buzzed. It was a message from Alicia, the curator who had been a constant source of support throughout her career. Lily, I have something exciting to tell you. You've been selected for a major art exhibition in Paris. This is huge, and I'm so proud of you. Lily smiled, her heart swelling with pride. Paris, the city of art. It was a dream come true. But as she read the message again, something inside her shifted. She realized that, despite the overwhelming excitement of the opportunity, she didn't feel the same pressure she once had. This time, she was ready to go, but on her own terms. She would take the time to prepare, but she wouldn't let it consume her. She would do it because it was something she loved, not because it was something she had to do. She replied to Alicia, her fingers hovering over the keyboard as she carefully chose her words. I'm honored, Alicia. Thank you for believing in me. I'll start preparing, but I want to take this one step at a time. I've learned that the journey is just as important as the destination. As the months passed, Lily continued to grow both as an artist and as a person. The Paris exhibition was a huge success, but it wasn't the accolades or the praise that meant the most to her. It was the fact that she had learned to live in the moment, to embrace the beauty of the journey without worrying so much about the outcome. She still had her dreams, still had her ambitions, but she no longer let them define her. She had discovered that true success wasn't about constantly striving to achieve more. It was about finding balance, staying true to herself, and enjoying the art of living. Lily's life had taken a turn toward a new kind of balance, and with the Paris exhibition behind her, she was at peace in a way she hadn't been before. Success no longer defined her. She had found joy in creating for the sake of expression, not for the approval of others. But life had a way of throwing unexpected challenges her way, and soon, Lily was reminded of her roots. It was a rainy morning in late fall when Lily received the call that changed everything. Her phone buzzed, the number unfamiliar. She almost let it go to voicemail, but something compelled her to answer. Hello, is this Lily Harris? The voice on the other end asked. Yes, this is Lily. Who's calling? This is Sandra from the Northside Community Center. I'm calling about a program we're starting, and we'd love for you to be involved. Lily furrowed her brow. Northside was the neighborhood where she grew up, a place full of memories, some good, some bad. It wasn't an area that had seen much investment, and over the years, it had become known for its struggles. Yet, in many ways, it was home. Sandra continued, "We're launching a community art program aimed at helping kids express themselves through painting and drawing. We've been hearing a lot about your success and thought you might be the perfect person to lead this initiative. It would mean a lot to the kids and to the community. We'd love to have you back here to teach a few classes." Lily was silent for a moment, processing the request. She hadn't thought much about Northside since she left, and her career had taken her far away from those old streets. Still, there was something about the idea of giving back to the community that had shaped her that tugged at her heart. I don't know, Sandra," Lily said slowly. "It's been so long since I've been back, and I've got a lot going on right now. I understand, but we believe this could be a great opportunity, not just for the kids, but for you as well. You can make a real difference, Lily. You know how it feels to need someone to believe in you. These kids are just like you were. They need someone to show them the way." Lily's heart clenched. She remembered those days, when all she had was a paintbrush and a dream, when no one believed she could make it. She thought of her mother's words, of the importance of staying grounded, of remembering where she came from. "I'll think about it," she said, her voice quieter than usual. That evening, Lily sat on the porch of her apartment, looking out at the city skyline. The rain had stopped, leaving the streets glistening. She couldn't shake the feeling that this was a sign, a way to reconnect with a part of herself she had long neglected. Maybe teaching these kids was the next step, not just for her career, but for her soul. Her phone rang again, this time from her mother. "Hey, Mom," Lily greeted, her voice light. "Hey, sweetheart. How are you doing?" Lily hesitated, then sighed. "I got a call today from a community center back in Northside. They want me to come back and teach an art program for kids." Her mother was quiet for a moment, as if considering the weight of her words. "That sounds like a wonderful opportunity, Lily. You've always wanted to give back, and now you have the chance to do that." "I know," Lily said, "but I'm not sure. I've worked so hard to get to where I am. I've built this life, and going back feels like going backward." Her mother's voice softened. "Sweetheart, going back doesn't mean you're losing what you've worked for. It means you're remembering why you started. The little girl who painted in that rundown apartment in Northside, she's still part of you. And maybe this is a chance to honor that part of yourself." Lily felt a lump form in her throat. She hadn't thought about it that way. Her success wasn't just about moving forward. It was about bringing all of her past with her. It was about sharing the journey and the lessons learned with others who might be walking the same path she once did. "I think you're right, Mom," Lily said, her voice steadier now. "Maybe this is what I need to do next." A week later, Lily was back in Northside, standing in front of a group of eager, wide-eyed kids. The room was small, filled with the smell of paint and the sounds of chattering children. She looked around, taking in the familiar yet unfamiliar surroundings. The walls were covered with art from past classes, each piece vibrant and full of life. But it was the faces of the kids that caught her attention, the same hopeful, uncertain expressions she had worn as a little girl. "Hey there, everyone," Lily said with a smile. "My name is Lily Harris, and I'm an artist. I'm here to help you discover the power of art, just like I did when I was your age." The kids looked up at her with curiosity, some of them skeptical, others eager to learn. She could see herself in each one of them, the hesitation, the desire to create, the longing to be seen and heard. For the next hour, Lily led them through an exercise, showing them how to use colors and shapes to express their emotions. She watched as the kids dipped their brushes into paint, hesitating at first, then letting go, allowing their creativity to take over. As Lily walked around the room, offering encouragement and advice, a sense of peace washed over her. This was where she was meant to be, in this moment, in this room, surrounded by the same kind of raw potential she had once had. And for the first time in a long while, Lily felt like she was truly home. Later that day, as the class ended and the kids filed out, one of the girls, a shy 10-year-old with braids, approached her. "Miss Lily," the girl asked quietly, do you think I could be an artist someday?" Lily smiled, bending down to meet her gaze. "I know you can be. You've got something special inside you." Just never stop creating. The girl's face lit up, her eyes bright with hope. Thank you, Miss Lily. As the girl ran out to join her friends, Lily stood there for a moment, watching her go. She had given that little girl a gift, the gift of believing in herself. And in doing so, Lily had found her own sense of purpose again. Lily's days at the Northside Community Center became more than just a way to give back. They became a part of her. She had thought she was just going to teach a few classes, but it quickly grew into something much deeper. The kids she worked with reminded her of the little girl she once was, afraid to dream, hesitant to step forward, but desperate to find something to hold on to. And now, as an adult, she was the one providing that stability, that belief in something bigger than their circumstances. It wasn't just the kids who were learning from her. Lily was learning from them too. Every day, she saw their struggles, their fears, and their courage in the face of hardship. She saw the same tenacity in them that she had seen in herself years ago. Some of the children had experienced more pain than anyone should have to bear at such a young age. Yet, they had found refuge in art, in the ability to create something beautiful out of the chaos of their lives. One afternoon, after a particularly difficult class where a young boy named Malik had opened up about losing his father, Lily found herself sitting alone in the art room, reflecting on the impact she was having. The room, once filled with energetic voices and laughter, was now quiet. Malik's words had stuck with her. I just want to make something that makes my dad proud. It was moments like this that made Lily realize how important her role was. It wasn't about the fame or the exhibitions. It was about reaching the hearts of those who needed it the most. She thought back to her own childhood, to the days when art was her escape, her way of navigating the confusion and pain of growing up in a struggling neighborhood. Now, she was passing that gift on. Lily's involvement at the community center started to catch the attention of others in the art world. Word had spread about her work with the kids, and she was invited to speak at conferences and workshops about the therapeutic power of art in underserved communities. At first, Lily was hesitant to share her story in front of large audiences, but as she saw the impact of her words on others, she began to embrace the role of a mentor and advocate. One evening, as she sat in her studio preparing for a speech at an upcoming conference, she received a message from Sandra at the community center. We have some exciting news, Sandra wrote. We've been working on a partnership with a local nonprofit to fund a scholarship for one of your students to attend an art school. We want you to help choose the recipient. Lily's heart skipped a beat. A scholarship? This was the opportunity she had longed for when she was young. To be able to help one of these children get the chance she never had. It was beyond anything she could have imagined. She immediately thought of Malik, the boy who had lost his father but never lost his love for art. He was determined, talented, and hungry for a way out. Lily couldn't help but feel a deep connection to him. He reminded her so much of herself. The day to announce the scholarship recipient arrived, and the excitement at the community center was palpable. Lily stood in front of the class. The students gathered around her, nervous but hopeful. I'm so proud of all of you, she began, her voice steady but emotional. You've all worked so hard, and you've shown me what it means to fight for your dreams, no matter what life throws at you. Today, I have the honor of announcing that one of you will receive a scholarship to attend art school, a chance to follow your passion and make your dreams come true. She paused for a moment, letting the weight of the words settle in. The room was silent, every child holding their breath. Malik, Lily said, her voice breaking, you're the one who's going to receive this scholarship. Malik's face lit up, a mix of disbelief and joy flooding his expression. He stood frozen for a moment before rushing forward, throwing his arms around Lily. I don't know what to say, Malik stammered. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm gonna make you proud. Lily smiled, holding him tight. You've already made me proud, Malik. This is just the beginning. The room erupted in applause, and Lily felt a warmth spread through her chest. This was what she had been searching for all along. The fulfillment that came from helping others, from passing on the torch. That evening, as Lily sat on the porch, reflecting on the day, her phone buzzed with a message from her mother. Hey, sweetheart, how did it go today? I'm so proud of you. Lily smiled, feeling a tear slip down her cheek. She typed back, her fingers trembling with emotion. "It went better than I could have imagined, Mom. I helped Malik, one of the kids from the center, get a scholarship. I gave him the opportunity one never had, and it feels like everything has come full circle." Her mother's reply was simple but filled with love. "I knew you were meant for this, Lily. You've always had a big heart." As Lily continued her work at the community center, her art career flourished in a way that felt more meaningful than ever before. She had found her purpose, not in the recognition or the fame, but in the impact she was making in the lives of others. She was teaching kids to believe in themselves, to use art as a way to cope with their struggles, and to dream bigger than their circumstances. But more than anything, Lily had rediscovered a part of herself she had long buried. The girl who once picked up a paintbrush for comfort and to make sense of the world. Now, she was helping others do the same, and it felt like the most powerful thing she could ever do. Lily sat at her desk late one evening, her art studio cluttered with sketches, paintbrushes, and half-finished canvases. The community center had become a second home to her, and Malik's success had sparked something inside her that she hadn't expected, an overwhelming desire to do even more. But tonight, as she prepared for the next class, she found herself reflecting on the impact that helping just one person had on the world around her. Malik's scholarship was just the beginning. If she could do this for him, how many more children had the potential to be uplifted through art, through mentorship? Lily's mind wandered back to the days when her own path had seemed unclear. She'd felt small in a world that often ignored her, but through art, she had found her voice. And now, it was her turn to give that voice to others. The next day, as Lily entered the community center, the energy was different. The children were more enthusiastic, their eyes filled with anticipation as they sat at the art stations she had set up. But there was a subtle change in the air, a sense of empowerment, as if Malik's journey had given them all a little more hope. Lily greeted the kids as they began to settle in, and before she could say much, one of the older girls, Tamara, raised her hand. "Miss Lily, I've been thinking," she said, her voice quiet but determined. "I want to help. I want to help the younger kids, like you helped me." Lily's heart swelled. Tamara was a talented artist, and though she often kept to herself, her work showed promise. To hear her express this desire to give back was humbling. "You want to help?" Lily repeated, smiling. "Tell me more, Tamara." Tamara bit her lip nervously. "Well, I think there's more we could do here. Maybe we could create an art show, like the one you did in Paris, but for our community. We could show people what we're doing, how we're growing. Maybe they'll see us in a different way. Maybe they'll see us for who we really are." Lily sat back, processing what Tamara was saying. An art show. It was an ambitious idea, but the more she thought about it, the more she realized it could be the perfect next step. It could be a way for the kids to showcase not just their art, but their stories, their resilience, their strength, and their dreams. But with success came new challenges. Lily knew that as the center's profile grew, so would the expectations placed on her. There was so much more she wanted to accomplish, not just for the kids she mentored, but for herself as well. She had always dreamed of opening her own art gallery, a place where young artists from underrepresented communities could showcase their work. But she had never quite known how to make that dream a reality. Until now. One afternoon, as Lily was working in her studio, her phone buzzed. She picked it up, noticing it was an unknown number. "Hello?" she answered. "Lily? This is Tanya from the Art Collective. I saw your show at the community center and was blown away by the talent of the kids. We're hosting a fundraising gala next month, and we'd love for you to be one of the featured speakers. It's a great opportunity to showcase your work, as well as the work of the kids at the center. We'd like to discuss how we can collaborate on future projects." Lily felt a wave of excitement rush over her. This was the chance she had been waiting for. This gala could be the platform she needed to launch her dream of opening a gallery, and it could provide exposure for the kids she had worked so hard to uplift. "I would love to be a part of it," Lily replied, trying to keep her voice steady. "Thank you for the opportunity. Let's discuss the details." The weeks leading up to the gala were filled with preparation. Lily spent long hours finalizing her speech, making sure it reflected not only her own journey but the stories of the kids she worked with. She also arranged for some of the children to display their artwork at the event, hoping it would give them the recognition they deserved. The day of the gala arrived, and the energy in the air was electric. Lily stood in front of a large crowd of influential people in the art world, business owners, and community leaders. This was her moment to shine, but as she looked out at the audience, she felt a familiar rush of nerves. But then, she thought of the kids, Tamara, Malik, and all the others, who had worked so hard to get to this point. They had made the art show a reality, and now it was her turn to speak up for them, to show the world that their talents were worth celebrating. Lily stepped up to the microphone, her heart pounding. The room fell silent. "Thank you for having me here tonight," Lily began, her voice strong and clear. "A few months ago, the kids at the Northside Community Center showed me just how powerful art can be. They showed me that art isn't just about creating something beautiful, it's about creating something meaningful. It's about giving voice to the silenced, telling stories that go unheard, and helping to heal wounds that run deep." She paused, glancing at the faces in the audience. "I've been lucky enough to watch these kids grow, not just as artists, but as young people who are learning to believe in themselves. Malik, Tamara, and the others, they inspire me every day. They're not just the future, they are the present. They have so much to offer, and it's time the world noticed." Lily felt a lump form in her throat as she thought of all the kids she had worked with, and she was grateful that she was able to speak on their behalf. "As an artist, I've always used my work to express my struggles, my triumphs, and my hopes. But it wasn't until I started working with these kids that I realized that art is about so much more. It's about creating a space for others to feel seen, heard, and understood. And it's about giving back to the community that helped shape you." Lily took a deep breath, and the room seemed to hold its breath with her. She had found her voice, and now she was using it to amplify the voices of the kids at the center. "I'm here tonight because I believe in the power of art to change lives. I believe in the potential of every child who walks through those doors. And I'm asking for your support, because with your help, we can create more opportunities, more spaces for these young artists to thrive. Together, we can make sure that no one, no matter where they come from, ever feels invisible again." The room erupted into applause, and Lily felt a tear slip down her cheek. This was it. This was the beginning of something new. The following weeks were a whirlwind. The gala had been a massive success, and Lily had gained a lot of support, both financially and emotionally. People had approached her with offers to help fund her art gallery dream, and the community center had received new donations to support their programs. The kids' art was now being showcased in local exhibitions, and many of them were receiving mentorships and scholarships to pursue art at a higher level. Lily's dream of opening her own gallery began to take shape, and she knew that she was on the verge of something bigger than herself. The future was bright for both her and the kids at the center. But amidst all the excitement, Lily couldn't help but feel a quiet sense of gratitude. It wasn't the recognition or the success that had made her feel fulfilled. It was the moments with the kids, the way their faces lit up when they spoke about their dreams, the way they carried themselves with newfound confidence. That was what mattered most to Lily. As she sat in her studio late one evening, staring at a blank canvas, she thought about everything she had accomplished. But she also thought about how far she still had to go. There was so much more to do, so many more lives to touch. But for the first time in a long time, she felt like she was exactly where she was supposed to be. As Lily walked through the bustling streets of Northside, she reflected on how far she had come. The Community Arts Center, the children's success stories, her growing art gallery dream. It was all happening so fast, yet it felt like everything had fallen into place. But with every new accomplishment came a new set of challenges. The road ahead was filled with uncertainty, but Lily felt ready to face whatever came next. One morning, as she sat down with Malik and Tamara, both of them now integral parts of the center's operations, they discussed the next steps. The excitement in the room was palpable. It had been several weeks since the gala, and momentum was building. "I've been thinking," Malik said, adjusting his glasses as he scrolled through his phone. "We've been talking about our future, but I think it's time we start thinking bigger. A lot bigger." Tamara nodded enthusiastically. "Exactly. Like, I know we've been getting more attention, but if we want to make a bigger impact, we need to take our programs to the next level. What if we expanded the center? or partnered with schools outside of Northside. Lily's eyes widened. They were both speaking the truth. She'd been caught up in the day-to-day details of the community center and her gallery plans, but she hadn't thought much about how to scale things up for more children, more impact. It was time for the next phase of their work, and she wasn't going to let fear hold her back. "You're right," Lily said, her voice steady. "We can't stop here. This is bigger than us, and I think we're ready for something more. We need to reach more kids, more families. But to do that, we need to make some bold moves." The following days were filled with strategy sessions, brainstorming, and meetings. Malik and Tamara were on board to help lead the charge, but they all knew that a larger vision would require support, financial, logistical, and emotional. They started by researching potential grants and donors who believed in the power of arts education and community building. They reached out to local schools and even began discussing potential partnerships with art supply companies. Lily had never been afraid of hard work, but she had always known that she couldn't do this alone. It would take a village, as they say, and she was ready to build one. But as the days went on, she began to feel a creeping sense of doubt. She was always a fighter, always determined, but the weight of what they were planning started to feel heavy. The pressure to succeed, to make sure everything went right, was overwhelming. Every time she opened her inbox, it seemed like there were more requests, more proposals, more people asking for something. One afternoon, as Lily sat in her studio trying to finalize some plans, she received a message from her old mentor, Evelyn, the artist who had once helped guide her through her early years. Evelyn's words were simple, yet profound. "Don't forget why you started." It was never about the pressure or the noise. It was about creating something real. Stay grounded in that. Lily took a deep breath, letting Evelyn's words sink in. She had started this journey because she wanted to give back, to create a space where children like her, children from underrepresented backgrounds, could see themselves reflected in art. She hadn't done this to build an empire or to prove something to anyone. She had done it to make a difference. And that's what she needed to keep in mind as they moved forward. The next day, Lily met with a potential donor who had expressed interest in supporting their expansion. His name was Andrew, a local business owner who had heard about the center's success and wanted to contribute to its growth. "So, Lily," Andrew began, his tone professional but curious, "I've been reading a lot about your work, and I'm impressed. You've built something incredible here. But tell me, what's your vision for the future?" Lily hesitated, gathering her thoughts. She had rehearsed this speech 1,000 times in her head, but now that she was sitting in front of him, it felt more real than ever. "Thank you, Andrew," she began. "My vision is simple, really. I want to create a space where young people, especially those from marginalized communities, can express themselves through art. Not just painting or drawing, but through all forms of creative expression. I want to provide resources, mentorship, and opportunities for these kids to develop their skills. But I also want to give them a platform to share their stories, to show the world what they're capable of. Because I believe that when they can see their worth through their art, they'll begin to see their potential in every aspect of their lives." Andrew nodded, clearly impressed. "I love that. I can see the impact this will have on the community. Let's talk numbers. How much funding are you looking for?" The meeting went well, and after several more conversations, Andrew agreed to provide the initial funding for their expansion. It wasn't enough to cover everything, but it was a strong start. Lily couldn't contain her excitement. They were moving forward, one step at a time. But even as they celebrated the success, Lily couldn't ignore the challenges ahead. The pressure to maintain momentum, to keep raising funds, and to make sure the center's programs were delivering the impact they promised weighed heavily on her. She had always been the one to carry the burden, to push through the hard times. But now, more than ever, she knew she couldn't do it alone. She turned to Malik and Tamara, her partners in this journey, and together, they started planning the next phase. They would need more hands on deck, more volunteers, more partnerships, more resources. It was a big task, but with the support of the community and her dedicated team, Lily was confident they could make it work. As she looked out the window of her studio, watching the sun dip below the horizon, she realized that this journey wasn't just about building something for the future. It was about making sure every single person who had supported her along the way felt seen, heard, and valued. It wasn't just about art. It was about creating a legacy that would last long after the final brushstroke. The weeks following the donation were a blur of activity. Lily, Malik, and Tamara worked tirelessly to develop the plans for expanding the center, and while there was a sense of excitement, there was also an underlying pressure that none of them could ignore. The bigger the project, the more risks were involved, and the further they pushed forward, the more doubts crept into Lily's mind. The expansion was moving forward, new staff members were hired, the center's location was growing, and their outreach to local schools was being met with enthusiastic responses. However, the weight of balancing all of these responsibilities with her personal life was beginning to take its toll. Every day felt like a race against time, and Lily found herself questioning if she could really handle it all. One evening, as she was wrapping up some work at the center, Malik and Tamara arrived at the office. They had been discussing some important changes to the program, but Lily barely heard them. She was staring at her phone, looking at a text from her mother. "Lily, I'm proud of you, but don't forget to breathe. You've been carrying this on your own for too long. Remember, it's okay to ask for help." Her mother's words struck a chord. Lily had always been independent, the kind of person who never asked for help. But now, she felt like she was drowning. She had created something incredible, but at what cost? Tamara noticed her distraction and placed a hand on her shoulder. "You all right, Lily?" Lily let out a deep sigh. "I don't know. It feels like the pressure is just too much sometimes. The kids are depending on me, the donors, the community. Everyone expects something from me, and I feel like I'm barely keeping it together." Malik sat down beside her. "You don't have to do it all alone, you know. We're here for you. You've built this with us. Let us help you with the heavy stuff." Lily blinked, a lump forming in her throat. She hadn't realized how much she'd been internalizing until now. She had always been the strong one, the one others turned to, but it was becoming clear that she couldn't do this on her own. The fear of failure, the pressure to make sure everything worked perfectly, had created a wall around her. "I just don't want to let anyone down," Lily admitted, her voice wavering. "I've worked so hard for this. I've worked so hard for all of us. But what if I can't keep it going? What if I'm not enough?" Tamara squeezed her hand. "Lily, you are enough. You've already done so much, and we're all in this together. We'll support you, no matter what." Malik nodded. "That's right. You've built a community here. But it's a community. It's not just you. You can lean on us, and you can lean on the people who believe in this cause. You're not alone in this journey." The weight on Lily's chest eased a little. She had always believed that she was supposed to carry everything by herself. But in that moment, surrounded by the people who believed in her, she realized she didn't have to. There was no shame in sharing the load. The next few days, Lily made a decision. She reached out to Evelyn, her old mentor, for advice. They hadn't spoken in a while, but Evelyn had always been a calming presence in her life, the voice of reason when Lily needed it most. When they met, Lily shared everything: the pressures, the doubts, the dreams, and the fear of failure. Evelyn listened quietly, sipping her coffee, before finally speaking. "Lily, you have a gift. You're a visionary, and that's something rare. But even the greatest visionaries need a team to bring their vision to life. You can't carry it all by yourself. Trust your team. Trust the people around you. You've already surrounded yourself with incredible people. They want to see you succeed. You don't have to prove anything to anyone except yourself." Lily took a deep breath. Evelyn's words were a balm for her anxiety, soothing the worry that had been eating away at her. She had always been so determined to make it on her own, but now she saw the value in trusting others, in allowing people to help carry the weight. "I think I've been afraid," Lily confessed. "Afraid of failing. Afraid of disappointing everyone." Evelyn smiled gently. "Fear is natural, but what's more important is your ability to keep going, even when that fear tries to hold you back. You've done amazing things, Lily, and you're just getting started." With renewed strength, Lily decided to embrace the support around her. She made a point to involve Malik and Tamara in more decision-making. They held team meetings with their staff, where everyone shared their thoughts, ideas, and concerns. Slowly but surely, the pressure began to feel more manageable. There was no magic solution, no easy fix, but by sharing the responsibilities, they were building something stronger together. And then came the most unexpected part of Lily's journey. She realized that she had begun to think beyond just the community center and the gallery. There were bigger opportunities on the horizon. For the first time, Lily allowed herself to dream beyond her initial vision. She didn't know exactly what that meant yet, but she could feel it in her bones. There was more to come, more to build, and more lives to impact. It was a daunting realization, but it was also liberating. She wasn't just building a community center anymore. She was building a legacy, something that could last, something that could change the landscape of art education for future generations. One evening, as Lily sat in her studio, gazing at a mural that was slowly taking shape on her wall, a mural depicting the faces of the children she had helped over the years, she felt a deep sense of gratitude. She was grateful for her family, for her team, and for the support of the community. But most of all, she was grateful for herself. She had come so far, and though the road ahead was uncertain, she was ready for it. The next step would not be easy, but Lily now understood something important. She didn't need to do it alone. The final piece of the puzzle had fallen into place. Lily stood at the front of the expanded Community Arts Center, looking out over the crowd gathered for the grand reopening. The new space was bright, spacious, and filled with color. Vivid murals adorned the walls, showcasing the creativity of the children from the programs. There were students, parents, teachers, donors, and community members all gathered in support, but the atmosphere was different from the first time they'd opened the doors. This time, it wasn't just about a building, it was about a movement. As she walked through the center, her heart swelled with pride. The programs they had expanded were already having a visible impact. More children were coming in each day, eager to learn and create. Malik and Tamara were buzzing with excitement, guiding volunteers and ensuring everything ran smoothly. They had done it. They had created something sustainable, something that was bigger than them all. Lily paused for a moment in front of the art gallery, where her paintings now hung alongside those of the children she had mentored. Each piece told a story, each brushstroke a piece of the journey they had taken together. It felt surreal. She could hardly believe that she had gone from a little girl with a dream to this, a woman who had built something that was changing lives. "Lily, you okay?" Malik asked, walking up beside her. She smiled at him, her eyes filled with gratitude. "Yeah, I'm just wow. I can't believe it's all come together." "I know, right?" Malik laughed, nudging her playfully. "It feels like we've come a long way, huh?" Lily nodded, her thoughts drifting back to the beginning of this journey, the times she had doubted herself, the moments she had felt overwhelmed, and the countless hours spent trying to keep it all together. It had been worth it. All of it. Tamara approached with a big smile. "The ribbon cutting is in 15 minutes. Are you ready?" Lily took a deep breath, feeling a calmness she hadn't experienced in a long time. "Let's do it," she said. "This is just the beginning." The ribbon-cutting ceremony was a huge success. As the crowd applauded, Lily felt a sense of closure to this chapter of her life, but she knew that the work wasn't over. This was just a stepping stone. There was so much more to do, and for the first time in a long time, she felt at peace with that. After the ceremony, Lily stood in front of the large mural she had created for the center, a mural depicting a young black girl holding a paintbrush, surrounded by the faces of her peers. It was a tribute to the children who had come through the center, to the dreamers who had found their voices through art. Lily's mother, who had flown in for the event, joined her. "I'm so proud of you, Lily," she said, her voice full of emotion. Lily smiled, feeling her mother's warmth wrap around her. "I couldn't have done it without you, Mom. You were always there, pushing me, encouraging me." Her mother placed a hand on her shoulder. "No, you did this. You've always had it in you. I just reminded you of what you're capable of." Lily's eyes filled with tears. For so long, she had carried the weight of her dreams alone. But now, she realized that she wasn't alone at all. She had the support of her family, her friends, her community, and most importantly, she had a team that believed in her. She wasn't just an individual anymore. She was part of something bigger. As the night wore on and the crowd began to thin out, Lily took one last walk through the center. The walls were alive with energy, filled with the potential of the children who would one day walk these halls. She knew that her work wasn't over, that there would be challenges ahead, new obstacles to overcome. But she also knew that she was no longer afraid. She had built something that would last, something that would continue to impact generations to come. She thought about the little girl she used to be, standing in the hallway of her small apartment, dreaming of a future that seemed so far away. Now, that future was here. She had made it happen. But more than that, she had helped others make their dreams a reality too. Lily turned to look at the mural one last time, the young girl holding the paintbrush, and smiled. This was the legacy she had wanted to create, not just for herself, but for every child who would one day walk through these doors and find their own voice. As she left the center that evening, a sense of calm washed over her. The future was uncertain, yes, but it was also full of possibility. Lily had found her place, and she was ready to keep painting. What legacy do you want to leave behind? What steps can you take today to start building the future you've always dreamed of? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's continue the conversation about what it means to build something meaningful and lasting. You have the power to create your own story, just like Lily. Keep dreaming and never stop creating.